Hello and welcome to Culture Code.
Decoding conspiracies and current events and coding creative culture and content.
Disclaimer: the information and analysis presented in the show are intended to provoke thought and discussion. Due to the nature of some of the topics discussed and the information in certain episodes could be dark, scary, or offensive to some. The views discussed and presented do not necessarily represent the personal beliefs, religious, or political views of the hosts, platforms, sponsors, or any other entity associated with the podcast. Culture Code is against fearmongering and against discriminations of all kinds. We are committed to balancing the dark with the light. Free the people.
Free the people, that's right. It's time for our check in. How you doing, co-host?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. We woke up bright and early today, and to give you this podcast, we've been really putting in some big work on it for days, trying to research past the media articles and look further and deeper into some information that some of the information here, the theories here, I have not found on the internet.
You know, some of the things we did find kind of made us drag our butts on putting out this content a little bit, just because of the nature of how heavy, this topic is.
It is not going to be a topic for children or people with maybe PTSD related to gun violence. So just an extra added disclaimer for that. But it is, unfortunately, something that we have to deal with in the world we live in. And it is happening more and more. And it's something that I think we went back and forth about it, about even putting this episode out, but I think it is so important to be discussing some of the topics today. And yeah, that I have a personal connection to them. So yeah, first I just wanted to do a little bit of updates about the previous show. We did like a little pre-show, and I just wanted to touch up about the topics. It was kind of a fast little pre-show, so realized that not everybody might have understood fully the numerical content we were going over. So the previous show we did was on March 22nd, 2023. So 3/22/2023. And we were talking about how it was a Skull and Bones Day. And, that 322 being their number. But basically, it was some people think it's a rumored to be a celebration day. So we wanted to connect all that news that was happening and the shootings on that day. So everything that we were talking about came out on that day. So that's why we were trying to kind of connect it. It has to do with like ancient numerology. Skull and Bones, they were the reason why they're connected to the occult, is because they were based off an ancient occult society in Germany. And, they were known as the Brotherhood of Death. That's why we're connecting it to those. I do want to point out, though, 2023 is a year because it is 322 backwards. This whole year, I'd be looking out for stuff to happen. It's kind of the whole year of the Skull and Bones, so that day is a specifically, influential day, allegedly, with what things they want to bring to the table. But this whole year is going to be probably some big jumps, I gotta say. So look out for that. If you're familiar with the totalitarian two-step, it's where big events happen, major events like 9/11, they, essentially create laws, or COVID, they create laws and ways of being, and then it kind of never goes back to the way it was before. There's big steps and there's little steps, and this is going to be year of the what is known as like the big steps. So be prepared, but get rest, take breaks from the media news, and remember, like, one person can't change everything. But if we can get this out there, maybe we can slow the tide again. And that is actually the reason why we decided to put this information out there. The powers that be, I don't think they like uncertainty, but we are living in the age of Aquarius where people are waking up. And I'm unsure if it's too late, but I feel like in a sense we have a civic duty to see stuff, point it out, and get the information out there, even though a lot of other people are doing that.
So greater in numbers.
That's right. So the Denver shooting kind of got buried. I was trying to look at updates. I think one thing that's really important is they give you news stories and they give you all this crazy fear-mongering things, but then they never actually touch a lot on, the ending of it. Maybe, it's like reading a book halfway and then just like switching, they just want to keep amping up your fear and switching to the next horrible thing that happened. And honestly, there's always going to be horrible things, but it's just so sad that we can't report on maybe like the healing of a family after this, or sometimes they do little pieces about it, but it's not overall. So I couldn't find a whole lot about the Denver shooting. Basically, the Nashville shooting happened, which is actually going to be the main topic of our cast today. But I didn't find a whole lot about that. I guess there were some protests and meetings about like gun reform by teachers and students. And then, there was a couple other deaths. When you look up Denver in the last week and a half, there's a couple teenage shootings and whatnot. So there's already been like a ton of violence. There's already been a ton more violence basically happening. There's so much craziness every day. We also missed because of that, we missed like a huge methanol spill on 3/22/2023. And it like leaked out all over the Ohio River. Like a barge actually got dislodged, 10 of them, and one of them spilled out everywhere. So that was pretty crazy. And also the banking collapse was 3 banks. Interestingly enough, the number 3 coming up. SVB was the major bank on 3/22, but there were actually 3, which I thought was significant enough to go back and just mention. Like 2 days after we're recording this, also Bob Lee, one of the founders of Cash App, got stabbed to death in San Francisco. And that's just weird because he was 43 years old. And it was a very high profile murder. And it's weird because the same day the government launched a very Cash App-like system launching in July called FedNow. And a lot of people are raising questions as to what's going on with that.
Sus.
Yeah, and this is after the 3 crypto pioneers died within a very short period of time. I believe it was like a month at the end of 2022.
Yeah, all these crypto guys just keep showing up unalived.
Yep. And it's just crazy because like some of the people, the senior researchers for the COVID vaccine in Russia got murdered. Like there's so much stuff going on, but we're just going to get into the show because I think that this is like very important for right now. So yeah. You ready to get into it?
I'm ready.
All right. So, Nashville, Tennessee, the home of God, guns, and gut-busting fried foods. This is where the church school shooting took place in Nashville, and actually an area that I'm very familiar with because I have a family member that used to work out there for a very long time. It's like a West Nashville, Southwest Nashville area. Very good neighborhood, actually. Really well off. I used to hang out there a lot when I was a kid and all over Nashville. But the story is pretty personal because, well, I grew up here for 18 years and currently live in the area somewhere. I'm not going to say where. And
Not too far away.
not too far away, very close. And so it's a struggle trying to figure out like my own thoughts on it. I have some similarities with the shooter, and it's kind of uncomfortable because I went to Christian schools my whole life, middle class background. I guess a lot of people have these similarities, you know. But went to school for the arts like music and film, but it was in California. Faced some of the issues that parents didn't understand because of music, philosophical differences, political differences, some sexuality differences. So it's weird. It hit a little more close to home maybe than just being a locational thing, but at the same time, it's like I never felt like that. So I think that's just a whole different thing. But getting into some basic facts, was Audrey Hale, but went by Aiden. Recently kind of identified as, I believe, transgender from what the media was saying. A lot of the S are getting it wrong, so it would be the person who is female born identifies as a transgender man, not a transgender woman, not like a trans woman or what did they say? There's a bunch of weird stuff they said. Trans-identified female, I think I've heard a lot of weird stuff. So just to get the story right here, so the person identified as transgender pretty recently, I think, but yeah.
Wouldn't his pronouns be him? I think that's what it said on the on his social media,
which was wiped like right after the shooting. Apparently, the whole social media was wiped, the Instagram, everything like that. So
he was 28 years old, and he had gone to this school previously.
Yes, he went to the Covenant Covenant School, which is a private Christian school, and that's where the shooting took place. And basically, they said that, and we will be referring to the shooter as him, just to not confuse it the whole time. But some of the media articles we might be reading or suggesting, some of the people that knew Hale in a previously might refer to Hale as she, so don't get confused on that. But so apparently this person Hale was planning this for a decent long time. The police, I believe, found like a bunch of journals, not necessarily related to this, but I guess the person did a lot of introspection and writing, was a graphic designer and freelance illustrator after graduating Nosy College of Art, which I actually consider going to, funny enough. And actually a ton of people from this area did, so that's not really that weird. But yeah, there's apparently this manifesto they keep talking about, and
which they refuse to release.
They still haven't released it. It has been, what's the date today?
Today is April 8th.
So the date of the shooting was March 27th, 2023. It is now April 8th, and they still have not released this manifesto that they've been talking about through the media. This is significant, I think, because they released the body cams instantly, which is actually very strange for any kind of altercation with the police. It takes them at least a week usually. So there are a lot of conspiracy theories, and let's not, we don't believe that this is a false flag. We believe people died. Respect to this whole situation. I don't know what was going on in this person's head. Obviously, it wasn't a good thing. So the whole situation is just tragic. So we're not saying that. We are saying that there are some strange numbers that pop up. There are
synchronicities.
Strange synchronicities, and we want to point that out. I feel like, so when you read media, it's really important to look deeper. There is a system of essentially like coding or encoding text. If you look at the way like theologians will go and they will encode, like they will read the Torah and they will read the Bible, and there's 4 different ways of encoding it. You can take it literally, allegorically. There's one other one, and then there's actual code, numerical code within the text, and that's what they study. So media is very similar because most of media is honestly propaganda, straight up. I was
Straight up.
I was recently in the watching a CIA ex-CIA member talk about how much media is propaganda, and this was in the 80s. It was filmed, and they said, "So how much media is propaganda? Like 10%, 20%?" He said, "More than your wildest dreams could ever imagine." And this was in the 80s. So we're probably looking at most all media being explicitly propaganda, only put out there to fearmonger, to show, what they're doing, to like a flex of power, and by
create
we
narratives and
Yes.
carry out agendas.
Right, pit people against each other, all kind of things. So when you look at the way to tell, I think, through media is when you read a story and it just seems like, why are they using this word over and over again? Or like, why do they keep harping? Like, why do they keep like harping on this one person's name that doesn't seem that significant to the story? Anything weird that pops out like that. Sometimes if you look at it or you look into the person behind it or you do the gematria on the word, if it looks out of place, sometimes that'll pop up. And you'll see that they're just putting their numbers that affiliate to their organizations, their secret organizations of power, in the actual media. So that's pretty much...
3 seems to be a huge number that keeps popping up. You had 3 children, 3 adults. The actual address of the school was 33
Burton Hills Boulevard.
Burton Hills Boulevard.
That's correct, yeah. So, and 33 is the Freemasons number, okay? So, 33 was listed a lot. It's actually in the address straight away. There were 33 teachers there. It says so on the website. The 3 children were listed as 9 years old. 3 adults in their 60s. 3, 6, and 9 are also very esoteric spiritual numbers for a variety of reasons. We could get very deep into that, but
on another episode.
But also, they're all multiples of 33.
They are
33, 66, 99, 666, 999, right? So you go on and on with that.
Nashville's gematria is actually 39.
That's right, and there were 3 9-year-olds killed. So, and 3 adults in their 60s killed, as we were saying. So yeah, that's pretty much a little bit of the gematria. One strange gematria thing that we found was in the address we said it was 33 Burton Hills Boulevard. Well, Burton equals 90, which in gematria 0 has no numerical value. Also in math, so it equals 9. Hills is 60, which equals 6 if you take the 0 off. So then again, you have an address 33, and then Burton Hills is 9 and 6. So you're seeing a pattern of 33, you're seeing a pattern of 3s and 6s and 9s. And there's definitely the Freemason symbology. There's some theories as to why their number is 33. Some people think it has to do with surveying, aka squaring the circle in the Middle Ages. They used what's called the perch system to gauge labor cost to clear acreage, and the 4 square perch equaled 33 by 33 feet, which was considered how much one man could clear in one day. Other people think it has to do with the Bible, has some nefarious ties to the Bible. Revelations 12:4 is one of the specific ones. Basically, it says in that text, it says, "And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her children as soon as it was born." Which is actually supposed to be an allegory for a third of the angels fell from heaven to join Lucifer when he was cast from heaven. So that is one of the reasons why it may be 33.
Also, Christ was 33.
Christ was 33
when he
died.
And rose 3 days later.
That's correct. Basically, the universal laws of nature and thirds, like if you've ever studied Wicca, they say that, if you do something, some religions do not have a penalty, or spiritualities don't have a penalty, but in Wicca it says if you do something, it can come back to you threefold. Judgment is often poured out in thirds in certain religions. The golden ratio, which is the Greek letter phi, 1.618 is the golden ratio. And that has a lot to do with thirds as well. The mark of the beast is 666, or 2/3. And basically the nature of everything in existence, getting back to the golden ratio, is governed by the ratio 1.618, which is a ratio of thirds. From the laws of light and sound to the spiral of electrons around an atom. There's 33 vertebrae in the human spine. Like she said, Christ was 33 and he rose 3 days later. Basically, 33 is important in occult circles also, because a lot of times when you look at Satan, Satan doesn't, according to old text, in the theory, Satan is not a creator. Satan cannot create anything. That's why he perverts and destroys. Now, that's not something that I'm specifically telling you I believe in. That is just something that comes from text. But, so a perversion of that, so he always is a duplicator. So so he'll use the same letters, someone that, supports Satan or worships Satan or some kind of, occult or, pagan deity might use the same letters as Christ, or might use the flip, which is, the 66. So that's just a little bit about the numerology. So I just wanted to touch on that for a second. Now, the actual shooting, there were also some people saying that the body cam footage looked like an active shooter drill. Fox News digital experts said that the body cam footage looked exactly like what a perfect example of an active shooter drill. So you have people saying that the building was empty, which we don't actually see anyone else. So, I really don't know.
In one
there's someone on the
news
floor.
report, there was a teacher outside.
Yeah, there's a teacher outside in one of the shots. And then when you actually go into the building, though, and all that footage, you can see a blurred out image of someone on the floor. That's all I'm going to say about that. And then someone, the supposed shooter, Hale, everything's blurred out. There was also something about, people were talking about the shoes.
Yeah.
They didn't match.
They were either Pumas or, in some of the images, it looked like the shooter was wearing Pumas, and then different like flame vans. Upon further inspection, they were the same shoe, in my opinion.
Okay.
They were vans through and through.
Yeah, but I think that too. But my question is, because at first you didn't think that, and I was like, yeah, okay. But then when you looked at the shoestring level, where it was on the Pumas, you were like, that doesn't really match. But the thing is,
I'm a sneaker connoisseur, so
yeah, you keep saying that.
I had to look at the shoe from different angles, and for sure, they were definitely Vans.
Word. Yo, shout out to the Vans people, the skaters. The OG Vans people. I've always loved Vans personally.
I love Vans.
And we're not sponsored by Vans, but Vans, if you want to jump up on here, yo, I will rock that ish. I love me some Vans. Son. Oh, and Adidas. Yo, Adidas and Vans have always been my thing. And don't get me wrong, like Nike, they all got some problems with their manufacturing sweatshop stuff, but same time though, yo, I love me some Nikes. Some high tops though, baby.
I think I used to be like in the 2000s, in the early 2000s, I was a Adidas Samba.
Yeah, that's because you was the backpacker hip hop son.
Samba type of girl, and I've been thinking about them. I think I might have to bring that look
I've been
back.
thinking about you. Ooh.
All right.
So what we're saying while we're getting into all this is because, to summarize everything we just said, we think that it has to do something with the Freemasons. This is like a Freemason flex when they put their Freemason little symbology all over this. It's just like they're signing their John Hancock to it,
Not saying that it didn't happen. It's just that, their signature is kind of embedded in the entire situation.
No, I think it definitely did happen because I know people that know people that know people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, it hits super close to home.
Yeah. So, and this is honestly a good thing for me to not a good thing for me, but a good thing to prove that, like, because there's questions always of like false flag or not, and I think that means different things to different people about how far that rabbit hole goes. Like, did it happen at all, or is there just some like weirdness to it, or is it completely like made up? Well, this is not. Neither was COVID, but there are aspects to both those things that, and 9/11, how do you fake that many people getting killed? You don't. So I think the false flag theory is maybe legitimate on one or two things. I don't know. I haven't looked into things, but I think, these people are killing for energy, allegedly.
Did it happen? Yes. Are there puppet masters controlling outcomes?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you were saying there, one of the news reported someone being 8 years old. And then all of a sudden they reported him being 9. So we're thinking that maybe the media is just like adjusting some of these numbers.
To match these narratives and these,
yes, they're picking a location, that already has their symbolism in it, like 33 Burton Hills Boulevard. That thing's been there forever. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's like 33 teachers, okay? So you start to wonder, like, how long was this plan to have something happen at this particular place? And the shooter was just, and the narrative was just like a cherry on top. They just had to find somebody, incite them. They're saying there's this, the transgender leftists are inciting people to murder because they don't like Christianity. Well, I mean, maybe there's some kind of agenda there. I personally don't think that's the agenda.
Interestingly enough, it comes after this, proposed drag ban. There's a lot of like trans and queer fear-mongering amongst, people in the right-wing, radical right-wing sector of the population, including our government officials.
Totally. And this podcast is about basically making it so that right-wing people hate us and also left-wing people hate us. So we are very non-partisan. We just try to spill it like we see it. I think that's one thing that makes us different is there's a lot of podcasts that are like, well, I have like a really certain like spiritual belief system, or I have, that's very specific, and I kind of see everything through the lens of that, maybe, even though I try to be objective, or I have a very strong political blah blah blah, and nah,
we're very objective here.
Nah,
know?
Yeah, the trans drag bill was a thing. It also happened it happened on a Monday. Friday was the International Trans Day of Remembrance, I believe, that Friday, which is probably not a coincidence, to be honest with you. And also, the year before, you had the restroom bill that was trying to get people to go in Tennessee. Tennessee is so backwards. But, God, I can't believe I live here again. But no disrespect. In some ways, Tennessee's great. But, yeah. But they were just trying to be like, oh, well, you have to go to the bathroom that your sex says. But if you see some of these people that are fully transitioned, you wouldn't even know, number one. And number two, you really want, a grown-looking man up in your female bathroom? Totally, grown man, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference sometimes? Don't think you know, because you don't.
Or grown-ass woman, in your male bathroom,
that'd be so weird.
That'd just be so weird.
Yeah, it's you can't tell. You wouldn't be able to tell, so you would just be freaked out. Get out of my bathroom, and they're like, "Well, I can't use the other bathroom because it's illegal." So you know what I do? I just use whatever bathrooms I want.
These people don't even know transgender people have been walking amongst them forever.
Yeah. It's like children of the quarantine. It's we walk among you.
I don't know what narrative, they're, believing out here, about trans people, but
trans
people, 99.999% of the time, trans people just want to use the bathroom.
When you gotta go, you gotta go. I think there was a Charmin commercial about that or something.
Nobody worried about you.
Right. So
or your kids.
Nah. It's in every group of people, whether you look at, you look at gender, race, sexuality, country of origin, political difference, you're gonna have creepers, son. You're gonna have murderers. There's no. Everybody has the potential to do some bad shit, and if you do it, you do it. But there's no.
Speaking of creepers, looking further into the rabbit hole of this whole situation, of course, we find that this school has a history with child. I'm not gonna
SA. Yeah, there's a scandal. If you look online, there was someone on Twitter that posted an entire
and this is at a Christian school.
Yeah, posted mad is it Twitters in a row, threads? It was a whole thread about this 2012 lawsuit that includes all these people that were concealing one person from doing the SA on children in the church. And that's actually one of the theories as to maybe why, that was one of our original theories as to maybe why this was happening. Looking into it more, and I'm not sure if this is true because we can't see a manifesto. It won't release it yet, or ever, because it'll just fade into non-existence,
and disrupt whatever narrative they're trying to spew.
Exactly, but we were like, okay, well, this Hale apparently wanted to kill his parents. He apparently targeted 3 other schools and a mall. I'm like, how far do you actually think you're going to get? Because first I heard it was 3 schools. Then I heard it was like
3. There goes that 3 number again.
Exactly, right? 3 number. And then I heard it was like the school and like the parents and then like them all. And I'm like, okay, the more I read, I just keep hearing this weird stuff. And that's the thing with the media is like, well, if you actually released real material that was actually legitimate, then you wouldn't have all these weird hearsay stories or just completely made up things. But yeah, so that was actually one of the original theories. Is I was like, oh, dude, it's about sexual assault, right? Like that's what this person was mad about. They were obviously mad about. They had to go to a Christian school that maybe didn't support them. Their parents didn't support them. And then maybe this happened, which changed their whole life. Potentially, that was probably around the time they were there, because I think the assault went on starting in 2008 that it was notated. I looked at a thread. There are letter upon letter upon letter of a man trying to get the like deacons and the pastors at the time to, which I believe there's a different pastor that was there the time of the shooting than there was before, but trying to get them to just like get rid of this person to like, because they kept, finding evidence of this SA happening. And the person has literally an entire folder on a computer that they shared that has like letters, documents, like research they had done trying to get like this person out and all the people that were covering it up. And apparently from the documents that this person, stated, it got so bad that the people involved on this kind of cover up of the SA tried to arrest the man. And that he said that one of the judges from Nashville and some of the police officers were in on it. It was a whole cover-up. And I don't know why they cared about this particular person, this particular church. But, I mean, if it's on 33 Burton Hills Boulevard, maybe there's other stuff going on.
Maybe he was a part of the cabal.
I mean, maybe, because, the other...
I mean, allegedly. What do I know?
Yeah. But, maybe we do know more than we think, because maybe this was like a whole... It could have been like a whole screen for doing all this stuff, especially if this man has all these documents. Now, whether you believe this man or not, I don't know.
But the information's out there.
Yeah, but the information's out there. I mean, we're going to post it so you guys can read it for yourself. But basically, the guy that was supposed to be doing allegedly a lot of the sexual assault was named John Perry, who apparently co-authored a bunch of books with then Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee. There you go. So, basically the church, the Covenant School Church situation, used Perry's home as a safe house based on his good reputation for children who they believed were mistreated by their parents. Okay. Which might be potentially Hale. Maybe. I mean, the time periods may have matched up. But, yeah, I mean, I'm going to release this thread so you guys can read it for yourself. There's a whole lot going on here. It's way more than I could ever explain. Years and years and years of different people involved, different allegations, whatnot. But yeah, so that was one thing that was going on. The thing about the police, I can't believe we're talking about this. The police, helping to cover up with the judge and everything, and the Freemasons is allegedly the Freemasons straight up run the police. I mean,
we're not talking about your everyday
in real life, son.
Mason lodge member.
No, we're talking about high.
We're talking in high ranking here. You know,
because most lodges only have 3 steps. They go up to 3, and then so I've heard that the only official, like, I've read that and seen that the only official ranking is 3, right? That's Master Mason once you get to 3. But there's some like, it's almost like a Boy Scout group, okay? Where you're the Eagle Scout, whatever. And then you get up to the highest level of scouting. And once you get that, you get all the buttons. So once you get up to 3, you get all the buttons.
33 was
That's
highest.
the buttons, son.
Okay, so it's...
So, and it depends on your order because there's a bunch of different orders.
Like
but
Scottish
most orders,
Rite and all Yorkshire.
Shit. People think there's 2 or 3, but there's actually like 10, 11. I believe there's a Memphis, right? Which Memphis, Egypt, something to do with Memphis. There's a lot of them, okay? There's a ton. So different ones. This was from watching a couple documentaries about Freemasons, reading a few books and articles, basically interviews with like ex-Freemasons, stuff like that. So, but yeah, so that's where the information comes from. Just a cabal of information. Let's just say that. But yeah, so technically I think most places you do 3, but then once you get up past that, it's more of like a spiritual or a metaphorical level, which is all they're really after anyway, is the spiritual metaphorical level, right? Basically, the Masons will teach you, they say they teach you how to be a good person and chase knowledge and spirituality, and they're not affiliated with any religion, so it's
But you do have to believe in God.
Well, yeah, but that's a very broad, like, I mean, you could believe in God, and it could be, your God could be super different than mine. Mine could be like the Easter
Satan.
Bunny. Mine's the Easter Bunny. Which is actually probably more scary because you know what they say in the Bible, wolf in sheep's clothing, baby. Or say an Easter Bunny and Satan in Easter Bunny clothing, baby. It's almost Easter, so we're like, yeah. But yeah, so... yeah.
Shout out to whoever put those Reese's Easter bunnies, peanut butter Reese's cup Easter bunnies on our doorstep yesterday. I'm so glad that it was not the CIA. I'm still alive.
Yeah, we were eating these, and she was like, "Oh my God, wonder if these are poison." I was like, "I thought about that, but I just kept eating." I was like, "Nothing's gonna stop me from these Reese's, baby." I was like, "Nah, they don't care about us that much, son." I was like, "We haven't even put out the episode yet. Wait till after the episode, and then start being more paranoid." But seriously though, my buddy that I was like actually really good friends with in Philly, he was a person of color, and the kind the police really don't like. Let's just leave it there. And allegedly.
Not allegedly, factually,
and also you just told me to say allegedly a bunch during this podcast.
No,
so I just threw it in a lot. Okay,
racism, and police targeting black and brown people.
Yes, that is
factual.
But also we just have to say allegedly a lot. So that's why I said allegedly. But he was talking about when I lived in Philly, I had a buddy. You know who I'm talking about. And we would make music together and other things and just kick it and drink and whatever. Just doing boy stuff, you know what I'm saying? Boy stuff. And so he would be like, yo, when I would drive out of Philadelphia County, which Philadelphia and the county that Philadelphia is in is called Philadelphia County. So when he would drive out to like the burbs, he would basically, it would be a little bit weird, for profiling reasons and stuff. But he would drive out to counties that were more financially well off and less diverse, and he get pulled over. He said, I could just show him my Freemason credentials and I'd be fine. They'd let me go. And so I'm not sure if he was trying to brag because he was a big bragger, but I've heard a lot of stories about that in real life because, if you in with Masons, you good. Like my mom dated a Mason dude, and she was like, oh my God, once they broke up, she was like, yo, make sure the cops ain't pulling you over. And I was like, I'm good. But that, allegedly there is a lot. And also, I think if you probably looked at some of the statistics, because they do post their members because they're trying to be family friendly and stuff. They're like, cool. and like good, we do good stuff for the community, and like the Shriners aren't part of us and stuff like that, then like there would be a lot of, I think there would be a huge statistic. The one of the I think it was the police, the Metro Nashville police. I think it was the chief was making the Illuminati triangle like sign, and I was like,
yes, and that's when we knew. That's when we knew. It's like the 33s and the 3s, and then you know, we could say it's a Mudras, but come on now, we know it's not.
Ban the assault rifles. I've been trying to get Congress to pass this for 37 years, and they just won't pass it, and I don't know why. I keep orchestrating all these school shootings. I mean, I keep praying about all these school shootings, and it keeps coming. And I'm like, yo,
I have
he's
to
like,
say,
the Denver shooting wasn't good enough. Now we have to progress. We have to hit Nashville, where they love assault rifles and weapons, and they love the Second Amendment, but they also dislike trans people and love Christianity. We'll hit them. We'll just do like, I couldn't make this up like better to be like, okay, let me find a way to really get in there and just try to like incite people that are like far right conservatives that love guns, and which I also love guns. Guns are dope. If they're used properly, cool, great. But love guns and love God and love freedom, but then also like love Christianity, But then like, oh, a trans person did it from an art school. Oh God, with assault rifles. So what do we pick? God or assault rifles? I don't know. Mind blown.
Clearly agendas are at play here,
Yep. And, to be honest with you, the first thing they pop out with is ban on assault rifles. It's not, gun reform. Let's have better screening for people to buy guns, which, can be a little, even that's a little bit like, well, who decides what is appropriate for which people are appropriate? Because if you are any kind of millennial, Gen Z, or Gen X, you've probably had a history of going to the therapist or having depression at some point or having anxiety or PTSD because the world you live in is an absolute fucking shit fire. Dumpster fire.
As a person who grew up in the inner city in New York specifically, I grew up, and didn't form my ideas on like what I thought about guns, like because I grew up around so much gun violence, pretty much like I was anti-gun my entire life. But the more I've started to like learn about like our government and these laws that they're trying to pass and like the ways they're trying to further oppress us as people, the more I'm like looking at places like Australia and New Zealand, I'm like, yeah, there definitely needs to be reform, but I think that, yeah, don't take the guns away.
Hell yeah. I finally brought her to my side, baby.
Big
Second Amendment. Yep.
The Black Panthers had guns.
That's right. Actually, that's what I used on you the most, son. I was like, yo, what about the Black Panthers? You love those Black Panthers. Ooh, I love the Black Panthers, man. They dope. And I'm not talking about the new Black Panthers. They totally unaffiliated with the OG Black Panthers, baby. And CIA was on their ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's proven.
All that COINTELPRO at the time.
COINTELPRO, baby. Them and like a few other groups. And some groups, like, I think they were also tracking, like, actual bad groups. But, like...
They definitely infiltrated the Black Panther movement.
Oh, of course. Of course.
And,
But we still have free lunches to this day. Thank you! All right. Well, not me, but, kids in schools. And that was good. Like, they had a lot of good ideas. See, people want to throw out... The people want, assistance with things to make us a society. The thing about society is you don't want people to be savages, right? You want people to be civilized. But you can't have a society where you be putting people out constantly, right? That's not civilized. So you have to have some kind of aid or help, which is like food stamps or like welfare or whatever, you know.
Yeah, not everyone is like
So you don't put people out.
able-bodied and, you know.
Right. But then you're like, you're not screaming communism about that, but then you're screaming communism about other things. It's like, well, there's certain kinds of whatever you want to call it. Unemployment is communism, son. If you want to get there, if you want to say that that's communism, then you know that's communism too. But when you need it, you know, you're not shouting about that. So I don't know. I think balance is good. You know. So we went off on a little bit of a tangent, but yeah, getting back to it there. So, you know, people instant narrative. I could be like 3-2-1 Joe Biden with the assault rifle ban. You know why? Because with assault rifles, obviously, you know, it's easier to hit a bigger amount of targets faster, which is why they're using the military. And also why the government doesn't want us to have them in case they really just snap on real quick with their plans.
Boom, all this like, you know, there's all this talk about like the digital money and, you know, all that happening. So, okay, worst case scenario, you know, all our money goes offline at some point. Whatever the government decides, how they decide to like, you know, the way that like COVID happened and like we weren't able to work. Okay. So not only do I need it to protect myself against the government, but also like if there's ever a situation where, you know, I'm starving or I have water and shit that I need to survive and there's people trying to get in my house to take my resources for me and my family to survive. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's where the communalism goes out the door, son. Yeah. I'm sorry, goodbye.
You know what I'm saying? You know, motherfuckers ain't trying to share no resources.
No vacancy, baby. That's where we're looking out for mine. But seriously though, like that's what you're looking out for yourself.
You know, when it gets to that point, like the government's not gonna step in and protect me and my family. You know what I'm saying? Worst case scenario, like I don't want to have to ever use a gun, but you never know.
Yeah, and I would share if I could for the record, but I wouldn't be trusting nobody out there. And I would be opening the door for nobody, that's for sure. But yeah, so you know, it's just crazy that they just decide to just jump on this train. Or you know what? A better one is gun reform. We could do that. Like I said, you kind of have to be careful with how you do it because it would X out like 90% of the people over the age of 50 in America if you've ever been hospitalized for depression, or not even hospitalized, just if you've ever gone to a therapist or had a medication. But you know, we could do gun reform. What about this? Even better. Mental health mandatory coverage as part of your health insurance.
Ooh, that's a
boom.
Wild idea. That's a wild idea.
Wokeism. Wokeism, son. No, it's like, why do people think...
Can we be like the woke conspiracy theorists? Is that like what? Is that like what we're going for? Like half woke, half conspiracy.
I'm just going for myself, son.
Just saying.
We're a
is that our target audience? Yeah, the people that stand in the middle between woke and red pill. Come over here.
Well, I mean, technically, red pill just kind of got taken over by one sect of the conspiracy theorists.
And woke is attributed
red
to
pill is
like
forever, baby.
Far left, you know.
Yeah, you're right. So we're kind of like right in the middle.
Yeah.
The woke red pill. Because we're not, you know, both of those are too extreme, and they've been changed into other things. Or you can take
the red pill and the blue pill at the same time.
The purple pill. The purple pill. We're purple pill. That actually makes sense. But yeah, no. So nobody wants to talk about that. You know why? Because that would cost their sponsors, the politician sponsors, money.
Follow the money. Always follow the
Always
money.
follow the money. That's where you find everything. Follow the money. And what's money? Numbers, baby. It's all numbers. Follow the numbers. Follow the money. That's it. But like let's subsidize some like mental health free clinics, lead programs, school initiatives that teach spirituality, responsibility, how to deal with your emotions, how to deal with other people, how to be self-sustaining, live off nature, meditate. Nah, they don't want to do that. They always want to take away guns. Yo, I can kill you right now with a knife. I know all your pressure points. Like, come at me, bro. I can't kill as many of you. I'm not no John Wick, but I can still kill people.
Also, guns don't just get up and kill people. It's people.
Yeah, they do. Don't you know that?
They got little legs, and you know what I'm saying?
I mean, it does make it easier for people to kill more people. Absolutely. That's a fact. Straight up.
Straight up, I don't think anyone under 18 should be able to buy a gun. I don't think anyone under 21.
Son. Yeah, I think 21, 25, maybe.
Some states.
But here's the thing. You can go to the military at 18. And that's kind of crazy too, you know? So it's like you can't smoke a cigarette. I think now it's 21, but you can go to the military, son. You can't drink. You can't rent a car until you're 25.
But you could die for your country.
That's crazy. But you know what? And then the other thing is like, okay, there's like a LGBT factor in this, obviously, like a trans factor. And like, I don't know, we could try to, also like make sure that everybody has the mental health stuff they need. And the LGBT community has a lot of media representation, a lot of Hollywood representation, a lot of lip service, and it's kind of thrown in the middle of all this political junk in schools and stuff right now. But to be honest with you, like it's all smoke and mirrors. They never really support the LGBT community by changing, by allowing people to change like gender markers on their birth certificates, like just simple stuff like that. They have at-will work clauses they can fire people, like the state of Tennessee, for instance, has an at-will work clause. You can fire LGBT people, POC people, anybody for doing anything. Even if you had like a beef against somebody for having a crush on somebody else, like you could fire them with no reason whenever you want. And I feel like
you could fire them if you don't like the way their hair looks.
You could fire them if you don't like... One day, if you think their face looks too shiny.
You can fire them if you don't like what they posted on Facebook.
You can fire them if you don't like the color of the t-shirt. But I do feel like that there's no way to prove, also, I mean, obviously discrimination is still illegal, but with the at-will work clause, there's no way to prove that it was about discrimination. So a lot of LGBT people and POC people, they can specifically get targeted under that. So I feel like, at the end of the day, all this lip service and like Hollywood being like, look at all the trans stuff and whatever. And then, the far right being like transgender and blah, blah, blah. Controlled opposition, where there's a push from Hollywood towards that. And then there is a back push from government, some government, not all government, but they argue back and forth about it. But it's obviously meant as a tactic to try to divide people yet again. So that is absolutely something.
I mean, why do you think they call it right wing and left wing? I mean, you need two wings on a bird, don't you?
Baby, that's right.
You need two wings on a bird.
Same stuff, man. And also, like, it's the DOJ and the CIA actually fund a lot of the movies in Hollywood. I don't know if people know that. But when you know. Especially look at anything to do with making America look good, represent qualities of freedom. That's the stuff they want to see. That's the stuff they push. That's the stuff they actually fund. So technically, your tax dollars are funding some of these Hollywood movies.
Yeah. America's ghetto. On that topic, the shooter was on multiple like SSRIs and
Oh, really?
Yeah, multiple like
pharmaceutical
drugs, treating various mental health situations.
Yeah, they had a couple emotional disorders apparently.
Also on the autism spectrum. Whenever you look at any kind of bands or whatnot, you think, oh, like they're trying to protect us. No, there's a lot of lobbying going on. There's a lot of like, people's pockets being lined with money.
Yeah.
To enforce and put out these laws.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was a
Pass
total.
these bills.
Yep. And that was a total failure, just like the war on drugs, and just like any kind of assault rifle ban will be, because,
I
well,
mean, the war on drugs was not a fail. It was actually, it did what it was intended to do,
you're right. But on the
which was to
surface,
incarcerate and criminalize all kinds of stuff in black and brown communities.
well, you're definitely right about the real intention. It served its purpose in that, but it just on the outside, what they marketed the war on drugs as was a failure, obviously. But yeah, obviously the main reason why they were doing that was there, and that was proven. But do you want to get into the last couple main points we have about the theories we have and everything? We've touched on one, and we started to touch on another one, but this narrative is almost completely out of a movie set when you look at the numerology in it, which we didn't get that much into it because there's specific podcasts that go into the numerology, the specific event, and we don't want to bite too much off that. So we just kind of had a mix of everything. When you look at the drag ban in Tennessee, you look at the bathroom bill, the year before, you look at all this stuff going on in the media, and then you have this happen. You're like, that's weird. That's kind of weird. But then if you really look at all the numerology in this, and you start to understand what it means, that's pretty weird as well, right? Also, the fact that this person was shot dead, which would make sense until you think about some shooters like Dylan Roof.
Did he get a Happy Meal?
I think that was him. But yeah, he was. They
unscathed,
and he killed more people in a church. So it's just like certain ones are allowed to live and go to trial, and other ones aren't. And that to me is a little strange. It also kind of supports the theory that something is going on with this case. There was a connection to North Texas, apparently. I think there was like a pastor from there, or like two people from there, from the congregation. And we also had that sex scandal going on with the SA, potential SA going on with that. The other weird thing that we just want to talk about real quick was the middle school connection. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, apparently Hale is not the only person to have died in the last couple, like from their class and their basketball team.
Yes, the Cresswell middle school basketball team, which is like a performing arts school in Nashville. Hale was like part of it, and 3 other people died within like 8 months. Or 2 other people died, making Hale the 3rd person to die. Again, the number 3 in like 8 months.
3 people. And then that again ties into what we discussed first about the SA. Potentially there being some kind of cover up. I mean, that's what it's pointing to. I'm not allegedly, I'm not saying we know the facts here, but upon further inspection, seems like there's some kind of conspiracy to unalive some of these people.
Yeah, absolutely. At first, I thought, these things may be connected between Cresswell and Covenant. I don't know why, other than to seize. I really don't understand why they would be connected. But the thing is, they shook me. I looked into the deaths, the untimely deaths of the 2 girls on the basketball team that were Hale's teammates at Cresswell Middle. They both were in car crashes, okay? One of them was like one of Hale's crushes that was like unrequited, which was weird. And also the other one was said to like drove her Jeep Wrangler into a truck that was like parked on the side of the road. And it stated that the driver was 33 years old, dude. There's a numerology in that. And so at first I thought it was kind of maybe something was going on with this school and the SA involved with the children. And then it just totally threw me for a loop because I found evidence like numerological evidence, like circumstantial evidence, like linking the girls, all the two girls and Hale together, and they were both, car crashes. And I feel like every time there's a hit, it's always a car crash, a heart attack, a suicide, or an overdose. Like literally, if you see Hollywood and they're trying to like cover up someone's death, it's always an overdose, a heart attack, suicide, or car crash. Those are the most common ones.
If we take it further down the rabbit hole, we could also say some potential MK Ultra, especially with all these pharmaceuticals going on.
Exactly. That's actually one of the theories. I was kind of trying to think about theories, and like that's one of the three theories I was thinking about. So we have a potential like SA abuse at this Covenant school, maybe around the time Hale was there, maybe not, but either way, that was happening there allegedly. We have the Crestwell basketball team, Crestwell Middle School basketball team. We have 3 members of it, including Hale dying, the first 2 in car crashes, one with a 33 number. The second one I didn't really see much, but I haven't really dug that far into it. But the other one also being like kind of an unrequited crush. Then we have the fact that this person was on these pharmaceutical drugs for emotional issues and mental health issues. Bro, you know about the MK Ultra prescriptions. MK
Oh
Ultra
yeah, we're all getting MK Ultra.
Well, most people think it's
turn on the news, and there you go.
Right, but like most people think it's only LSD. They only use LSD.
Nah.
But what they did was they experimented on people with LSD. It was like they experimented on their own FBI members with LSD. That's why that one FBI member, I don't remember his name, jumped out a window because he didn't know what he was on. But they also experimented on kids. They experimented with Adderall on children and Ritalin. And now all of a sudden ADHD, everybody has ADHD. Well, it's the environment, dude. Put a screen and a billion different things in front of them. Of course they're going to develop ADHD. Bam, then medicate them. But ADHD and Adderall, what they found in the CIA study, they came out of MK Ultra, one of the at least 149 sub-projects of MK Ultra.
You can look this is public information.
Public information, straight up.
This isn't like conspiracy. It's actual factual documented information out there for anyone to look up and read.
Yes, CIA.gov. There you go. And I'll try to find the exact articles. So what they found was that these drugs in children especially open up your mind to the power of suggestion. And that's what MK Ultra basically is there's different sub-projects of it, but what they do with MK Ultra was they traumatize like the hell out of a kid by doing something really messed up to them or in front of them, to something they love or to themselves, and it almost like kind of breaks their brain and their ability to create like a dissociative personality or multiple personality, and
that can be triggered whenever certain words are said. Or
exactly, like Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah, you guys should check that movie out.
Or like Utopia. Utopia is a great series. I'm not going to get into it now but yeah.
Even if
Utopia
you look at like Stranger Things.
Stranger Things is all about MK Ultra. And I mean, Stranger Things is the Montauk Project, and actually like the monsters they were supposed to be apparently some people did see weird chimera-like monsters, and from some things that I've heard that they could have been messing with, I did hear they actually were messing with human and animal DNA, making chimeras. So, and in Montauk, they would see like, you know, crazy animals and have like deer and stuff run into plate glass windows because they had a huge antenna on the roof in Montauk, New York, where they were doing some of the MK Ultra experiments, but they did them all over. Even Canada was involved.
California.
Some of them, yeah, everywhere. Like Manson was supposedly went to the Haight-Ashbury clinic where they were like doing some of the experiments on LSD.
Yep.
So, and the LSD experiments also included like, you know, the ones we were talking about, like pharmaceuticals on children. This is what makes them, and a lot of the goal is to influence children by media, by putting secret stuff in cartoons, subliminals, flashing stuff they don't see it, colors, certain flashing rates and colors in music can make you, you know, pretty much your mind open to all these, receptive to all these things. There's a lot of ways they do it, but so that's what we're thinking. Maybe that's one of the things is this person already had all these grievances, was already not accepted by their parents, kind of an outcast, definitely an outcast. Like, you know, the basketball team has accepted this person on a surface level, but it wasn't, you know, they weren't like really friends. And this person would just show up to like one of the members' sisters' art shows, or like just show up to a birthday party uninvited, and like or like show up to someone's like address they didn't even know like how they got the address, you know? It was kind of really inappropriate behavior. Which you would probably expect with someone who was kind of emotionally, you know, afflicted. So, you know, it could be, yeah. I think my personal opinion, I'm going to tell you my personal theory, and then you can tell me yours. I think the Cresswell Middle School, the two girls that were killed in car crashes, and Hale, something in that just doesn't feel right to me. And I think also with finding the number 33 in some of the articles related to the crashes and stuff, that to me, that might have more to do with it than the supposed SA scandal at the Covenant School. I feel like there's some really weird stuff in some of those articles that just popped out, and that number just popped out, and I just feel like that's such a weird coincidence. It's almost like they were killing off people that she really liked or loved or had a crush on, and it was just a further insight to doing this mass event, you know?
That's a good theory.
I think so. I think they were like messing with this person's mind on purpose, and I think that, you know, did you know that Hale was counseled at the Covenant School through the pastor?
I did not.
The pastor's a 9-year-old that was killed. Hale was being counseled by that pastor, apparently. And by counseled, I'm like, was this some kind of strange, you know, like hypnosis, mind control? I don't know. You know what I mean? But that's the only way that I can rationalize all these numbers and the shooting being real and based in reality, and the person actually doing it, but also like all these numbers. But what do you think? What's your theories on it?
My theory is that it's a bit of column A, B, and C. The powers that be, you know, these people in power, they go in and they like rearrange numbers to fit their, you know, signaling to each other. You know, like one news source saying that, you know, one of the children was 8 years old, and then it being changed, and, you know, on the papers, that they were all 9. You know, I feel like they go in and they change and rearrange numbers to signal, you know, each other. You know, my intuition tells me that definitely there's something kind of ritualistic going on here, and it could be tied to covering something up. Potentially, Hale was used.
Yeah, I think used is a great way to put it. I honestly do, because that actually explains exactly what I was thinking, that I didn't have maybe the words to say, but used for this purpose, specifically at this date, at this time, I think that hits the nail right on the head. Used.
You know, what really got to me was like, in our research, I saw Melissa Joan Hart, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. You remember her?
I could do a black cat impersonate Monaco.
Salem.
Yeah.
Well, Sabrina, I don't think that I think I need some of that cheese off that crackers. That's too much for you.
Just seeing like when did Sabrina the Teenage Witch, like, and then like further looking into her, past like posts, I stumbled upon a post where she was like grieving and living in the same city as a Sandy Hook, situation, and I thought that was strange.
I did not see that, but that is very weird. I do know, like, from looking it up, that she does live here, and she was supposedly going to some PTA meeting. I don't know if it's the same school. Apparently, a lot of like well-off kids or rich kids will go to that school to Covenant. But yeah,
it was kind of a red flag for me. Like, she would just so happen to be driving by and like helping, a class full of kids walk across the road to escape the shooting is, I don't know. Did it actually happen, or was this something that they just put in the news, to give her like her points for, give her clout for the moment? Like,
well, I think that's a red flag, is like the celebrity kind of like co-signing or narrative or spin about like an event that has literally nothing to do with that. I think that's, maybe for me, that's one of the things you can tell when it's like maybe a more legitimate, like non-affiliated, like event that has nothing to do with like the government having its hand in it at all, or like the powers that be like having their hand in it all. Is like there's no celebrities, and it doesn't get that much media coverage, and it goes away pretty fast. And I think it's like the shootings that don't involve MK Ultra, don't involve numerology, they go away like boom, like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that you can probably tell, what's going on with that. But
man, these are some heavy topics, and it's even kind of like nerve-wracking to talk about, and also just kind of draining to look into, because it makes you question like, humanity, and like it makes you question everything.
Reality as you know it.
And this isn't some lighthearted stuff. But, we have to look into things deeper. That's how we'll find answers.
Yep.
And we cannot rely on our media to be, the 100% source of truth, and what happens and what doesn't, It's
you can rely on them to be the exact opposite.
They
actually.
are,
Yep.
So, yeah.
So I don't really have anything else for this. I think our theories on the event and everything, we did like kind of a mixed pot of stuff. The theory we found about the two other middle school girls dying, and how that may be connected with the number 33 in the truck driver, that I haven't seen anywhere. So if you guys want to look deeper into the Cresswell middle school connections with the other two girls' demises, or if you want to look more into the history of Hale, the schools, I would encourage you to dig deeper. Read all these media sources every time something like this comes out. Look at all the numerology. Look at things that fill out a place and then maybe you'll find the answer in that. But I think that's pretty much all we got. So we're gonna do some updates for you real quick. We decided to pick Rumble, not Bumble. Bumble's, I think that's a dating app. Bumble,
Hey.
Buzz, Buzz, Rumble as our alternative hosting platform, so we can say stuff that we can't, or maybe don't feel comfortable saying on other major
Platforms.
video hosting platforms. We're on a bunch of different podcast providers now and hosts. Buzzsprout is our platform though, and our Buy Me a Coffee is active as well. So if you like this and you want to buy me a coffee, boy do I love coffee, baby.
Oh, he loves coffee.
And remember, in culture code, there's a 0, all right, instead of an O. So we've been pushing hard to do a weekly podcast, but sometimes we maybe can't do it because of the heaviness and life and stuff going on.
Yeah, we've been sitting on some of this information for
long time.
a long time now.
And I actually found some of this middle school information with the connection to the numbers like recently, so I'm kind of glad I didn't do it, and that we didn't do it, and that we both had some other stuff going on, so that's great. But we're going to try to do some little TikToks and Reels like in between. And definitely add us on Instagram at Culture Code spelled with a 0, or twitter.com/culture
_.
code.
And code is always with a 0 instead of an O.
That's right. It's time for chill out. So we're going to be going to my co-host, talking about the chill out. This is the section where you just kind of want to just
Decompression of the
vibe
day.
and relax and decompress after this heavy information. So if you want to take it,
Man, I feel like I need to meditate after this and sage the room.
basically, for the chill out portion, we just want to encourage y'all to get outside more, even though everything's poison. Sorry. Okay. Rewind. We want to encourage y'all to get outside, connect with nature, recharge those electrons.
Get some sun.
Get some sun. Make sure, you're eating healthy as much as you possibly can, that you're recharging properly. Because this can be very, very toxic to the whole human body, because it starts in the mind, right? And so, it's proven scientifically that if you go outside, you're going to recharge your electrons with nature, with trees, with grass, stuff like that. If you have a animal, like a pet, and you let your dog go outside, they run around and they grab all those electrons, and then they come back to you and you hold them, and then
They
all those
charge
electrons,
you.
yeah, they charge you, and then they go outside and recharge. So make sure you recharge, basically. Yeah. Is there like any songs or albums you've been listening to that make you feel good and kind of help you recharge?
Lately, I've been revisiting Erykah Badu.
Oh yeah, I was saying
Oh, just she's so soulful and
The Master Healer, which is actually one of her songs.
she's just amazing.
She is. Yeah, we were watching the YouTube of her. She is a beautiful person. And
She's had some problematic views in the past, but hey, look, life is a journey, and you aren't always gonna get everything right,
that's right. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Thank you guys. Remember to like, follow, rate, and subscribe. And keep it vibing, y'all.
Keep it vibing.
Hope you're ready for the next episode. Hey.
Smoke weed every day.
Every day, that's right.
Respect the drip, Karen.